What's going on, Gospel Diaries? Listen, I'm back at it again, and I'm in the magnificent city of Chicago, and I'm with, what you look to the left, I'm with the iconic choir director right here in Chicago on the west side, Mr. VJ Verzuane McCoy. So we're going to delve into his Gospel Diaries. First of all, what's up? How you doing?
Hey, y'all. How you doing?
I'm doing great, but listen, man, as I always say, please take the time to share this content because it's from my heart to yours. We have a new choir now.
Yes.
I believe I like to say it's rebranded or revamped worship experience. And I think that that's a great name, especially the last word, experience, because you have encountered some experiences in this gospel community. You started with the choir Gideon's Army, right? And you all have made a wonderful reputation here on the west side and on the south side of Chicago. So let's start there. What was the catalyst for Gideon's Army?
Gideon's Army came about because I was I didn't really want to be a choir director. I could direct. I wanted to write songs, and I was very young, and I went to somebody who was in the industry but not, and I said I want to write songs, and the first thing he said was, "Well, who are you?"
Really?
Yeah, and so it was such a shady little impact on me. I said, well, you know what? If I have to be somebody to write for other people, I just form my own choir and teach them. I was young, though. I was like 21, and everybody in the choir was like 15, 16, 17. They were all high school students or college students. So that's where the choir came from, and it just we were preparing to record. We came out the gate preparing to record. Then we started in 1998. We recorded in 2001. Oh, it's a lot. Church hurt extends, especially when you're talented or gifted in any way. People think you just want to come in and do, or you want to be seen. And sometimes you just want to sit down, and then, but they want to use you the way that they want to use you. And if you don't want to be in that capacity, then they'll treat you bad. Like you go to a church. Oh no, I don't want to direct. And you just sit in the audience. Then they get up and preach on you for not singing.
You've experienced that?
Yeah, I've experienced that. I'm not just me, other people. Then there's industry hurt with the gospel industry. I've been to being a new choir. You go somewhere, you sign up and you're supposed to sing third, but the announcer doesn't know who you are, and then you sing last. So then you don't, those are things that happen within the gospel community. I'm surprised I lasted that long. A lot of people give up. And they just get out of the race. I'm still rebranding. We still rebranding. We doing some new stuff. Kanye opened up the doors for a totally different audience of people. So me and the choir, we've been singing at a lot of places you wouldn't even think that we've done Jewish weddings.
Really?
We've done clubs with our Caucasian European brothers and sisters. They call and they say we want the choir to sing. We got a new song out that's a rock and roll song. So he opened the door. We're expanding, but we want to keep the choir going even through church hurt, because people use church hurt as an excuse. Your ex-husband or ex-wife hurt your feelings, but you still doing the do, ain't you?
That's right.
They go to the club and they shoot up and fight and folk get killed, and you still go to the club, right? So using church hurt as an excuse not to go or not to work is not going to work. Well, I was raised, when my parents were married, I was raised under my granddaddy, William McCoy. The people in Chicago would know who he is. William McCoy Sr. His church was the quartet capital of the west side of Chicago, Miracle Temple.
All
the quartets. So I came up in Kojic under 6th jurisdiction of Bishop Bonner. And then my parents got divorced. So my mom went to my auntie's church, Bishop Linda Sherrill, and my dad was still at my granddaddy's church. So I split the time between the two churches. I was literally going to both churches because I was living with my parents co-parenting, directing the choir at my auntie's church and singing in the choir at my granddaddy's church. And then when I got older, then I was directing the choir at my granddaddy's church. So I came up under those two still sanctified. We would still categorize sanctified, whether Kojic or my auntie now, they just call it sanctified. She came up under Apostle Hinton.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was there a lot too. So I got all those influences of that old school church. But I liked I didn't know choirs. I didn't know who was who. I just knew songs.
Okay.
So I liked the music. When I was younger, I was listening to that that really phenomenal gospel music like Andre Crouch, Richard Smallwood, but I didn't know who they was. I just knew the songs. When I got older and really into choirs, my first love for choirs was really James Hall and Ricky Dillard.
Okay.
Then I found Don Lawrence, and I found and of course the Tommies was the best choir ever. Tommies was, so everybody out there, the Tommies was the best community choir ever. Don't ever try to say that anybody would ever top them. They had all the leads out. But I wanted a fusion of all those different styles. And then Don Lawrence came along, and he was giving you that mixture of that Thomas Whitfield wispy sound, but then every now and then they'll bark a little bit. And I was young, but I was trying to train my singers into all those different genres, and I was making them learn the songs exactly like the record.
Really?
Now y'all gonna sing it like this, and we're gonna hit these notes, okay, how high it is, and these tones, and not knowing that those people were singing 20, 30 years, and who we were, these new kids. But Gideon's Army did forge a reputation. We were gonna sing that song like it was.
That we wanted to ask, how long has Gideon's Army been together?
Man, Gideon's Army was founded in April of 1998, and then the choir disbanded for about 6 months and restarted again in, what was that, October 2000. So this is the new choir.
I believe when you started, if this is the same Gideon Army, did you all used to wear the Army? All right. So I'm with you. I remember this choir a few years ago. They were awesome, and now you're more of an ensemble. Okay. And how long have you been getting around? You said for about the last 5 years as the ensemble. So give us an idea of some of the places that you've been.
Well, we've toured the Eastern Seaboard. We've been to New York. We got a chance to sing for my father in the gospel music, who is James Hall. Amen. We've also sang at such notable churches in Chicago, Sweet Holy Spirit, St. James, Progressive. This year we had the honor of being invited to sing at the Gospel Fest. We sang at the Gospel Fest, and we went to, amen, and then we went to the Kansas City, Missouri this year and sang at the Gospel Music Workshop of America as well. So the Lord has been moving.
Okay, can we expect a CD coming from Gideon's Army on the west side of Chicago?
Amen. That's some good news. Actually, our CDs have been stolen. The electronic tapes have been stolen from our recording 2 years ago in New York. Melvin Chris Bell, who is our producer who plays for James Hall, they were in his truck and they were stolen. And he just recovered the tapes after 2 years, and he just sent us the tapes. Well, how long ago was that? Last week. Praise.
Engagements were our very first engagement was to New York, and that was it was either the end of 1998 or 99, somewhere in there, 2000. But that very first traveling engagement, besides Detroit, because Detroit loved us, we went to Detroit all the time. But for James Hall had us come. He had a program with us and Youthful Praise on the program, and it was they were having service, but it was when Citadel was the church choir. Remember the church choir? I think Citadel was maybe first starting, but they was hot choir, and he had us come and sing the blood and deliver in front of Youthful Praise and in front of James Hall. Melvin Crispell, I had met Melvin Crispell, and me and Melvin talked, and Melvin was actually my live producer for that Gideon's Army record. So we have been working on that record for a while. So that's how we met James, through Melvin. Melvin heard us sing it, And then I think because YouTube didn't get hot until about what, 2007-ish, 2006-ish, something.
Yeah, absolutely, like 2008, 9.
Yes,
but it was around in
that's
2000.
so we had been filming James Hall's stuff, and it was a little YouTube. But when Melvin heard us sing, he said, "Oh, James gonna want to hear y'all." So they had us going. That was like one of our first engagements. And then Gideon's Army did a lot of traveling to Detroit for Antonio Clark and New Mercy and a bunch of churches up there. Yes, rest in peace. LaQuint Weaver, Dr. E. LaQuint Weaver was bringing us up there. So we did a lot of that. So we Gideon's Army, I'm trying to remember, that was a long time ago. St. Louis. We did a lot of Memphis, Kansas City. So we were young and new. Quinny Lennox got us on a gospel fest. Real early in our career. I remember we was hollering too. This when I had wrote this little medley. It was called Chicago to New York, and it was like Jesus Light over and over and over. You ought to have been there, and it caught up in the rapture, and we were singing it on stage. Quinny loved it. We were singing, and New G was dressing, and they came out. They said, "Who is that singing like that?" And so that made me very proud because New G was one of my influential choirs. So Gideon's Army did a lot for a short time for a new little indie choir. We were on that. We were right in that group of indie choirs that came out when Kenny Lewis came out, Kevin Lemons, Patrick Riddick. That was that whole wave. So that was the indie because we ain't had no choice because choir, they were phasing choirs out.
Wow. Now we got to talk about your music. So I'm Nickelton. I know that is one of the most requested songs that you recorded. Well, you have newer songs, but that's one of the ones that has made a great impact here on the city and across the country in the gospel music community. So how did that song come about? Let's talk about that.
I had a dream about that song, and I wrote that song when I was 19 before Gideon's Army was formed.
And you had all the parts and everything in your head already?
Yeah. I dreamed that song, and it's funny because that people still talk about that song. I was just talking to somebody, and they say that, well, that's one of the most beautiful songs. I said, well, it just amazes me that those teenagers and kids, Tila and all them and Robert, they were 15, 13, 16 singing like that. I said, people think that those are grown-ups. Those was kids and early teenagers and maybe some college students when we recorded that. People have sang that song all in Japan and in France. So yeah, I might redo it for the 25th anniversary. We might go and do something to it. A lot of songs that we thought was theirs was somebody else's. But you have to make like an underground kind of following, and then that's how you'll stay relevant. So you got to record your own material. Like right now, we have a song called "You Shall Live." It's been on the radio though. "You Shall Live" is like one of those indie underground, or like Patrick Riddick's "Clap Your Hands." Or Kevin Lemons and them, they had a few songs that was indie, like King of Glory. Lift up your head. So you have to have those indie underground hits. So you got to keep recording this. You're not going to be relevant.
First started recording and trying to get your music out there to now where you have the social media and so many other platforms that you can actually, it's more accessible to independently put projects out and work on.
It's the pros of the old days is you didn't have so much competition because everybody couldn't record and everybody couldn't put out a record even independently. That was the pros. The pros now, of course, is you can put out your own music and you can go through DistroKid or TuneCore or CD Baby. You have your social media, so you could promote your stuff yourself. But now when social media got hip to it, now social media don't let you just message everybody. They don't let you just, now you got to pay for ads. So it's going back to, you can't just post in something on your page and then share it 1,000, 5,000. No, they ain't gonna let you do. They're gonna block you. So you gotta pay now anyway because it's so much. The music industry had got saturated with so many people just putting out anything that now you still got to pay. So there's pros and cons to it, but social media and DistroKid, CD Baby, all of them, they did save choirs because it wouldn't have been, the record labels wouldn't side of no choirs for the longest. I forgot who it was. It was one of my choir directors. It might have been Chip or somebody. And Chip from SOS, y'all, Harrison, Space Rest His Soul. He listened, me and him listen to a record, and he he said, "What you think about this?" And I wouldn't say nothing because I want, I don't want nobody taking what I say. And he said it such eloquently. He just said they wasn't ready.
Okay.
They wasn't ready.
Okay.
So it's a lot of people putting out stuff, and y'all know I program direct at a radio station that I partly own. I'm not the majority owner, but I partly own.
The Pulse of Chicago.
Yes.
You all? I'm gonna put the information on it. Go ahead.
And I do the Squall Fest too. If y'all ever heard of the Squall Fest, everybody's been on there from James Hall to Kurt Franklin, Vanessa Bell has been on there, and I put a lot of indie artists. I try to mix it up so they can get that experience, and to let them know you got to see what these professional people been doing so that you can know you're not ready. You and that you're not ready is really what a lot of this music has been. It's been you're not ready. It wasn't vocally ready. It wasn't mixed right. It wasn't mastered. The look wasn't right, or you just ain't got it. Some people ain't got it. I could direct the choir, and I could write and all that enough, but you're not gonna see me get up and go and dancing with the stars. Cause that's not my calling.
Thank you.
Everybody don't need to be singing or directing or any of that. It's not y'all call. Everybody can't do that. So you got to go to God in prayer and ask Him.
They were born with it. You were born with it. You know what I mean? So I look up to you. So I wanted to get your input.
Oh, that's so nice of you. I could direct a little bit, y'all. I'm really not a director. I am a songwriter, but I can teach your choir to sing. That I can do. My daddy said that he was struggling with a choir because he's a musician.
What's your daddy's name?
Willie McCoy Jr.
Okay.
And he said he was in Detroit trying to teach a choir, and he just could not teach this choir. And I was like 12, and he brought me to that choir, and I taught them a song. He said, "Boy, I would have never thought that choir could sing." So yeah, that's what happened. He came in, and that's so yeah, I was born with it.
Recorded.
I think it depends on the level and skill of the church. There's a difference between a community choir and a church choir. So we have to make sure that we don't conflate the two. You can't have the same standards for your church choir as your community choir, because in a community choir you can let people in based solely upon their vocal ability, their financial responsibility. In a church choir, you gotta let anybody in. Unless it's one of those premier church choirs. So with a church choir, you don't have to be so strict with the number one. People who sing in community choirs want to sing. They want to travel. People in church choirs are volunteering their time, and some of them feel like it's a duty, and they're doing it because they love their pastors. So you got to remember all that. You don't want to run the church choir way, being too hard on them.
Okay.
When it comes to improvisation, I'll improv a song if I'm trying to put my stamp on it to make it different. We got a video out when we went to Florida, and we did "Having You There" by Mississippi Mass. Now, we're not a big choir like Mississippi Mass, so we didn't do that whole song like they did. We just did enough of it so you know that it's us, and it's different. It sounds different. So you can improv if you're doing a purposeful change. But if you're teaching like Total Praise by Richard Smallwood, you got to teach it right. You just can't be teaching the parts how you heard it. Now you need to go and listen.
We've all seen the video when
yeah.
he's corrected certain parts in this.
Yeah. You change the whole chord when you go down. Your peace you give me. All right, try it. Ready, and.
Certain parts in the song.
But a lot of times it don't even be the choir director's fault, it'd be the musician's fault.
Really?
Because we'll know the part, but the musicians will play it wrong. I had a church choir, I'm not gonna say the name, so I've directed a million church choirs. And I told him, I said, "This is wrong, you're playing it wrong." He got mad at me, the choir got mad at me. I literally had to pull the video up of Richard Smallwood. Because when you're teaching, if you're teaching the right part and the musicians are playing the wrong part, the chord's gonna clash. So a lot of times it don't be the choir director, it be the musician.
Wow. That actually gave you that push into ministry.
Besides my family, I'm going to say Locally, for Gideon's Army, a lot of our engagements came. Well, the Tommies invited us. We did one. Remember the Tommies used to have those Sunday musicals?
Yeah.
That was one of our first engagements. Um, Pastor DeAndre Patterson invited us to a lot of stuff. Buster Woods invited us to a lot of stuff. Father Hayes was a big influence. He had us on a couple He definitely one of our first major programs. James Hall came to Chicago. He didn't have his choir. He needed a choir. Father Hayes called us in, and James Hall called us in, and we did the backing vocals for him. So Father Hayes, DeAndre Patterson, Bishop Trotter was a big push of us, and still is. He done had we've shared the stage with a lot of major people we wouldn't have shared the stage with if it wasn't for Bishop Trotter. Locally, lately we've done a lot of stuff for Sonia Blakey. On 1390.
Mm-hmm.
She's called us to do quite a few things. So those are local people that really still push us to still be behind us. 1998, and then by 2011, the choir people was growing up. Remember, I had all kids. By the time 2011 came, folk was getting married, having kids. It was a struggle for us to really go and pull together, rehearse like that. I said, you know what? And then the choir gospel industry was really rough on choirs. Everybody wanted a praise team, the CCM and all that.
Late 90s, they were getting...
Not like 2010.
Okay.
So 2010-ish, they just really, everybody was into CCM. So I said, well, I still want to do choir music, but we have to be able to travel. We have to be able to appeal to the newer, younger audiences that want the CCM. So I started Worship Experience. The Worship Experience at the time when I first started had 45 people. It was still too many people. We pared it down. When we recorded, we had 12 people. And that, I don't know if you, that record is called Worship. Tim White is on that record. He was on the Gideon's Army record too. We had a song on that record called Who's in Control. And he smashed that song. That was a top radio song, y'all. But that record actually sold more than the Gideon's Army record, which we sold out the Gideon's Army record when we got it. But that mixture, I tried to fuse choir singing with CCM style writing.
You ought to lift your hands and give God all the praise for what He's done for you and how He saw you through. Come on in His place and praise the Lord with He's been too good. Come on, praise. He's been awesome, God. He is a wonderful Come on, you want to lift up your hands. Oh, Jesus, blessed Savior. Praise Him, yes I will. Oh, bless the Lord with me. Blessed Savior.
It's me in the choir, but I put We the People, which still stands for Worship Experience. So it's a play on words. so that it could cross over, so that it would scare, because we got to reach out these 4 walls. The church people, we sing it to each other. We need to be reaching the people that's not in the church. So I changed it to we the people, but technically it's still worship experience, because and the name of the song is called Change the World. It's a homage to Black rock and roll influences in my life. Tina Turner, Prince, Michael Jackson, those type of singers that cross out of their particular. I want to say being Black and being a musician is a constraint. It's we're not always going to be accepted in our own community, first of all. Then we have to go out and try to reach other people. So, and they were people that did it. So Change the World is a song. It's a homage to basically Michael Jackson's song, They Don't Care About Us, and Earth Song. Prince had a song called Gold. And then Tina Turner had a song where she would go, "We're gonna sing it nice and easy." And then so I did that. I sang the song low, and then I got a little rap in there. And the song is actually doing very well. When I looked at my Spotify stream, and I'm like, well, this one song only been out a month, and it's got 1,000 times more listeners than all my other music combined. So sometimes you got to reach out the box, and I'm talking about racial justice, social inequality that's going on in the world, even stuff that's going on in our community about people that are just wasting their lives away, smoking drugs all day, not working. It's a lot packed into them 3 minutes of that song. We're talking about nepotism in society, where people are judged based upon who they're related to. Some people are given better treatment based upon what their name is, their kin, and social status. So if y'all listen to that song called Change the World, y'all go get it, buy it, stream it, tell your friends about it, request it on the radio. We want to address all these issues. If we don't address these issues, we're doomed to repeat those issues. And Black people, we can't afford to go back. We're choir directors. Number one, it's hard to get choir members and keep them, and then you got to train them. So don't get discouraged when you pour all your time into somebody and then they decide you're not big enough, and you done trained them up and they left you and went to sing with somebody else. You got to keep doing you, keep pressing towards the mark, and definitely don't be somebody else. Be you. You can take influences from other people, but you don't necessarily have to be that person. Just be 100% authentic you, and remember that whatever you do for Christ will last. That's it. God. If you keep God first, don't forget, it's not just, it's a cultural thing too. It's a heritage thing. This is our culture. Singing in groups and choirs got Black folk over. We were singing in them chain gangs, and we were singing Soon I'll Be Done with the Troubles of the World. And so that's a cultural thing. We don't want to lose our culture. And on top of that, we still want to keep God first, keep Jesus first as the Lord and head of your life. And even when you mess up, slip and fall and whatever, get back up again. The Bible says that the just man falls 7 times, right? Get back up again and restart it. Don't give up. Because if you give up, then somebody else is going to take your place.
Oh, yes.
Remember the story of the 3 servants when the master gave them each 1 talent, 2 talents, and 5 talents. Then the one with the 1 talent didn't do anything. So the master took it from the one and gave it to the one that had the 5 and doubled it. So that's what happened. If God tell you to start acquiring and you decide you don't want to do nothing with it, guess what? He going to find somebody else that's already doing it and get them everything that you don't work for had.
Because what you want to do, somebody else will. And on that note, as I always say, we got to come back and do a part 2. As I always say, love on someone and change your life. We'll talk to you later. Tell the people bye.
See y'all later. Hit me up on Facebook.